Let me check your pa. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Off My Bridge. We're looking at how to play Bajorans, or Bajorans, depending on how you want to pronounce them. Bajorans are an amazing species that was added to Star Trek in the Next Generation episodes, as well as, of course, and fully explored in Deep Space Nine. The Bajoran people have a long and dark history, but a relatively bright future. And so it does become quite interesting to look at them. Now, the fundamentals of Bajorans. The biggest fundamental is they are a deeply spiritual people. They all wear their very specific earrings, which denote all kinds of things. Originally, it promoted their class and what they could and couldn't do within society. Now, that was abandoned, and now you can do whatever you like. You are liberated from that as a result of the Cardassian occupation. So as a very spiritual people, they venerate the prophets. And the prophets dwell within the celestial temple, a wormhole out in space. Now, there have been many individuals who have been guided by the prophets to create prophecies, which the Bajorans also venerate as being things that will come to pass in the future. And those prophecies do have a weird way of coming true. This is because the prophets are non-temporal beings. They live outside of time, and so things that they see and send as prophecies, well, they are actually true visions of the future, but oftentimes veiled in some cryptic language. The Kai leads the Bajoran spiritual people, whilst a First Minister leads the Bajoran government. And the two are often working hand in hand and sometimes in opposition to one another. However, all Bajorans respect the Kai and the First Minister even if they don't agree with them. Vedics, kind of bishops within the religion of the Bajoran people, serve the Kai and act as spiritual mentors and provide guidance to the general population. The Bajorans are also scrappy, tenacious, stubborn, resistant people. They will face adversity, they will bear a burden, and they will struggle through. They have a strong sense of community and are not afraid to take on a challenge. Very seldom will they back down in their personal lives, in their social lives, or in combat. They are stalwart in their approach. If they believe something to be right, they will do almost anything to make sure that it happens or transpires. Generally speaking, most Bajorans are resentful of the Cardassians, unless you're playing in a period before the Cardassian occupation, or much later than the Cardassian occupation. The whole Deep Space Nine series was a journey of the Bajorans slowly moving from deep hatred for the Cardassians through to begrudging cooperation until eventually we get them to almost helping the Cardassians liberate themselves from the Dominion. The Bajorans have this, rightly so, dislike of Cardassians. So those are the fundamentals of the Bajorans. And if you can get that right, what it does is it makes you realize that religious ceremonies, festival days and things are very popular with the Bajorans and has a lot of meaning to them because that is where they have a collective purpose, they have a history, and they have support because they were generally existing in a very harsh and malicious environment. They have some key mandates: follow the will of the prophets. Make sure that if you believe the prophets are trying to show you something or guide you somewhere, you will do what that is, even if it's all inside your head. You will still try and follow the will of the prophets. You will do right by others. So I will help you, you will help me. You betray me, I will betray you. The Bajorans are very much an eye for an eye. Understandable given the occupation. You will defend what is yours. This is mine, I have built this up, and I will defend it from anyone who will try and take it from me, regardless of the logic behind it. Don't try and Vulcan me out of my farm. My parents bled and died for this farm. I am not about to abandon it. Self-reliance. The Bajorans are incredibly self-reliant. You had to be during the occupation because there wasn't anyone else to rely on. They were either murdered, taken away and held in prisons, or simply vanished. So self-reliance is important. The juxtaposition of the Bajoran and a Klingon is the Klingon will do everything for honor, which oftentimes, as we saw in the Klingon episode, was very malleable. With the Bajorans, it's all about the sense of self. What is right for you? What is right for yourself? And how can you make that right? How can you justify it? Well, either it's something that is impinging upon you, or it's the will of the prophets. Questions that Bajorans should be asking as a Bajoran. Is this the right thing to do? For me and for my family, for my community, and for Bajor. Is this the right thing to do? Morally, ethically, spiritually? So quite a deep question. Yes, quite a universal question as well, but it's more focused on the individual and the community and the prophets than perhaps, say, a human might have that same question, or a Vulcan might have that same question. The next question is this the will of the prophets? Does this feel like something that the prophets is trying to guide you to, or from, or away, or around? Is this a test from the prophets? That is a very big question, and it's a good leading question. Many times we saw the Bajorans going through spiritual conflict. It feels like the will of the prophets, but I don't want it to be the will of the prophets. I'm fighting against that. That's so much strong role-playing opportunity there. It's a really good question to be asking. Another question, is everyone being treated equally? The idea that the Cardassians brought in this structure of, if you're a Cardassian, you're a first-class citizen. If you're a Bajoran, you're second-class citizen, third-class citizen, rank, and all of that kind of stuff. The Dajara, the caste system that the Bajorans used to use, the stratification of society, that was all removed after the occupation. So is everybody being treated equally? Now, obviously, within a military kind of structure, there is rank, but as long as everyone's being treated with respect and being treated fairly and according to the rules, that's okay. The next question, am I true to myself, is a very deep question. And it kind of links to another question, which is, am I true to myself? Am I doing this because I want to do it, or because I'm being forced to do it? Generally speaking, if they're being forced to do things, the Bajorans will push back and push back hard. They won't do something that they do not want to do. And sometimes that's just straight up defiance. They won't try and weasel out of it like a Romulan or a Cardassian or a Ferengi. They'll just say no and leave and become intractable in their situation. Is there injustice, and how can I fix it? A big Bajoran question. Making sure things are fair, things are just, things are right. Really, really important to the Bajorans, and it should be important to you if you're playing them or if you are running the Bajorans involved. If there's an injustice, the Bajoran will have all of the justification that they need to tear down, to attack, to destroy that injustice. And they won't stop until it has been torn down. The last key question that Bajorans often will ask themselves, especially if they are good Bajorans, because you will always get the exceptions to the rule, you'll always get Bajorans who don't believe in the prophets or who feel that their prophets have abandoned them. The last question is, how can I find peace within myself? Bajorans recognized that after the occupation and during the occupation, there was lots of rage, there was lots of anger, loss, hatred, and sadness. That's not being calm. So, how do I become calm? What is my go-to place? Is it prayer? Is it being inside of a temple? Is it helping others? Is it farming the land? How do I find calm? It's a really interesting question, especially if you're a player. Like, how do I find calm? Well, that means my character needs to be agitated first. Interesting character journey there. With those questions in mind, we now look to what Bajorans do in their free time. And a lot of it has to do with spirituality, attending prayer, attending temple, reading the prophecies, looking to Vedics for spiritual guidance to find that calm, that center. That's something that the Bajorans would do in their downtime. Festivals, spiritual festivals, the burning of the scrolls, festivals of light, all of those kinds of things. Absolutely marvelous. And don't be afraid to make your own festivals as well. The gratitude festival, the ingratitude festival of banishing evil spirits, the celebration of the prophets. Choose a festival. Liberation Day, Occupation Day, Memorial Loss of memory day. I don't know. Make them up. Festivals are an important thing to the Bajorans. It provides community, it provides purpose, and it brings a sense of joy and relief as well. Not all Bajorans, but many Bajorans will also, during downtime, have some kind of creative expression. Is it gardening? Is it perhaps pottery? Is it music? The Bajorans love their music, very calm music, generally speaking. There are those opportunities for the Bajorans to explore when they have downtime. And of course, reconnecting with family. If your Bajoran has just come out of the occupation, their family might have been taken by the Cardassians or split apart by various operations and things. Maybe they're trying to track down their last remaining family or a long-lost relative. It can also be an interesting pursuit. This certainly will create, hopefully, some adventures for the Bajoran to follow as well, especially if they discover that perhaps one of their relatives was a Cardassian sympathizer, or perhaps was abducted by Cardassians and was last seen on Cardassia Prime. Who knows? It's entirely up to you. But these are the kind of pursuits and things that Bajoran should be doing that sets them apart from other species. Obviously, they can go and do sports and hobbies and things like that, but these are Bajoran pursuits specifically. How do you speak like a Bajoran? Well, the Bajorans don't have a marked accent. They are not like the Cardassians or the Romulans or the Klingons or the Ferengi. Bajorans, however, use the word prophets and peace and Cardassians as weapons. They will use them to attack. I'm not a Cardassian. There's a lot of aggression loaded into that word. They will use it as passive-aggressive behavior. Well, my child, if you listened to the prophets, perhaps you might not have made this mistake. Loved Kai Wynn as a villain. She was perfect. She was really good. Anyway, so using prophets, using tradition, using loyalty, using any kind of language that can be sharpened and stabbed is a fairly good Bajoran tactic. And oftentimes Vedics, the calm at peace individuals, will use the prophets as something of a lesson, of a tool, and as a weapon. They might speak very calmly, but it is there. So the threat of the prophets should be something that comes to the fore very often on the Bajoran tongue. It is very Bajoran. So, Bajoran goals are pretty straightforward. Follow the will of the prophets. If you can't see the path the prophets have laid out before you, well, then you need to go and seek out a path. So that should be a goal. Once you have that path, follow the path to the best of your abilities. Whenever it deviates, you need to look at the trial, the test that the prophets are presenting you with, and try and figure out how to overcome that test. You also need to look at how to make Bajor as good and prosperous as possible. What can you do to contribute to Bajor? It could be to blow up the Bajoran government because you don't feel that the government is doing what should be done. It could be to sabotage Bajoran acceptance into the Federation. It could be to promote it. It's entirely up to you how you want to express it, but you should be trying to help Bajor as much as you can. There's a very patriotic sense of Bajor. Another goal is to be a force for justice, and that's not a legal justice. That's a equality for all, fairness for all. Fight against any who would oppose or oppress people against their will. Why is oppression even tolerated? It shouldn't be tolerated at all. So when there is injustice, it becomes a goal of the Bajoran to then stop it from happening. This fervor is almost fanatical and can be fanatical if expressed as the first few seasons of Deep Space Nine actually looked at the idea of fanaticism in a religious kind of context. It can be present, so it is something to think about when running Bajorans or being a Bajoran, but at the same time, it's only one aspect of the Bajoran people. Anything that I've left out on how to play a Bajoran, let me know in the comments down below. And remember that the prophets have always maintained that those who click the like button will find their path. So find your path and click the like button. It helps the channel immensely, and it encourages me to make more of these videos. Huge, huge thank you to my wonderful patrons who make this channel possible. And until next week, I wish you and yours
live long and happy gaming.